Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Malley for the Insight NBA show.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're listening in. This is the Insight NBA show with G and Malley. How are you, Malley?
Fantastic, mate. Missed a bit of a basketball chat, so I'm keen to get back into it. All the festivities behind us now.
I love that we were like the podcast was a priority today, but then we were really engrossed with this massive comeback from the Lakers after halftime versus the Rockets. And we're like, look, we'll just put it back 5 minutes. That was a game. That was a game.
The good guys won.
Anyone but the Lakers, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Speaking like a very popular opinion as well. Speaking like a true fan of the Rockets because James Harden played there. Are you just a fan of every team that James Harden's played for? Does this also apply to Brooklyn? Can I ask?
No. I prefer Brooklyn over Clippers. But yeah, if it was priority order, I'd definitely start at the Rockets and we'd be moving down. But he's by that token, I was pretty happy to see Oklahoma get another win today. So on the back of Shea, one man wrecking crew.
I'm still going to
until that fourth quarter.
I tell you what, man, I was actually thinking for a second there, I might resend another trade for Shea to you because of how great Brunson's been to get lately and put another great player with it. Like, maybe this is it. And then he goes and does that in the fourth quarter. I'm like, great, Mally's going to hold on to him for another bloody week.
He's looking very good.
He looks great. He's the third best player in fantasy. That's where he was drafted. And so if you're ever going to trade for him, you've got to give up a pound of carrion flesh, as the old people would say. But this is the must-add show. This is an absolute bumper and corker. It is week 12 of fantasy action, and we have over 30 names. In fact, we've actually got almost 40 names in this episode, and that sounds huge, but we're going to get through it really quickly because much like Coolio and Gangster's Paradise, this is a streamer's paradise, week 12, Malley.
Yeah, and I think it's three things that happened. The first thing is we've got a lot of injuries. It's coming to that part of the year where, we're 30 games deep and people are starting to ping hammies and do other injuries, and teams are being a little bit more cautious. We've also got to the point in the year where the rookies are starting to figure it out a little bit more. So some of them, as we're going to talk about later in the episode, are getting their legs beneath them and they're starting to work out the game and how it's played in the NBA. And the final one is, I had three. Probably should have started at the back one.
And because it was all in your brain, you can't even give me a head. Is there a clue? Can you give me a clue?
No. I'll save that game for later on because I know that it's a hard one for us to play on account of my lack of clues. My last one was teams are starting to work out their rosters. We see someone like Kamara. He's getting his minutes. They're really favouring someone like him. He's a name I know we're going to talk about later, but everything's starting to settle a little bit. So it's kind of the perfect storm. There's three things happening at the moment, which is making streaming, unavoidable if you're going to try and win.
Look, as you said, we are over the 30-game marker for a lot of these teams. In fact, a lot of them are in the 30s now, 34, 35 games deep. Look at, for example, the Philadelphia 76ers. They have lost. They're on the cusp of the play-in already. So this is where we can start to look at these teams. And it's crazy that you say that as well when we break down the schedule. OKC getting that win today. They're rolling. They're on a 15-game winning streak. And that's crazy to say because the Cavs lost a couple after their hot start to the year where they just looked unbeatable. And they're only got one more win on the season than Oklahoma City Thunder right now. So I can't wait to see those guys match up again. And today, you look at this now in the Western Conference, the Houston Rockets 23-12 just before today's game as it pans out. Just behind them on 20 wins, you've got Denver, the Lakers, the Mavericks, and the Clippers all before today's action. And we know we've got that there. The roster's got to settle. But this is how close it is. And the play-in teams right now are the Clippers on 20 down to Minnesota on 17. And one game behind them is the Kings. It really is just an open landscape for players and rotations and teams searching for something in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a delight at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to the south side of the All-Star period. You know, just seeing how
Silly
other
season.
teams come out, and whether these it'll be interesting to see whether these teams that are really separating themselves from that upper tier, you know, like your Cavs and your OKC, these kind of teams who are just having these wild hot streaks, whether they start trying to protect some of their players and their pieces and some sitting, which again is perfect when we're talking about the topic we're talking about now, which is working this waiver wire.
And guys up in those top teams are always going to be, we're going to touch on some of those. So let's look at the week ahead. We've got 9 games Monday, capped by 9 games on Sunday. In between that, we jam in 7 Tuesday, 8 Wednesday and Thursday, respectively, 7 on Friday and Saturday. Now, for those out there who were streaming in their leagues, Malley, we were talking about this. If you were finishing your week strong, let's just start with this for our streaming options, because we're going to go up to, I think we've got like 31 names to start the week with. Use this strategy. We'll touch back on these guys later on. But if you were a Magic or a Kings holder, if you bought Wendell Carter Jr. in today, great run from him. If you bought in Cole Anthony, good run and showing by him today. Goga Badadze, not getting that run when they got blown out today. These were all really good pickups we touched on. The Kings, Keon Ellis, good pickup today. Kevin Herter, good pickup today to finish your week off, mate. If you've done that, you can hold off making your ads until Tuesday, correct?
100%. And I see Ellis got another start today with Fox out. So I was wondering what would happen, you know, when Murray comes back and how we're going there. But he's managed to stay in favour, and he still gets plenty of minutes as a 6-man anyway. He seems to have pushed his way ahead of Herter. So, yeah, you'd be stoked.
Look, we're at the half right now. Golden State Warriors versus these guys right now. Steph Curry is back in 6 from 7 from the field. So it's an everyday Steph game. But Trace Jackson-Davis, not playing well, 0 from 1. The defensive stats are there. They're up 75-51, the Sacramento Kings right now. And that's without De'Aaron Fox in their lineup. A lot more minutes there. Sabonis is feasting, and so is Monk. But again, this is why we use that guy. So we're going to talk about if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this podcast, and you did that, just hold on. We're going to come back to you because there's something that's really awesome that you and I are salivating over. Let's just cap it right here. There is a bunch of guys to work the schedule. If you want to make your ads right now at the end of your week or to start your week off, there are all of these teams that are absolutely going bonkers right now. Monday to Thursday, 3 games and 4 nights, Malley.
And I know you're going to talk about it later on in the show, but highlighting the fact that we don't have Friday, Saturday back-to-backs. So, I mean, you really, for me anyway, I'm loading up at the start of the week here. I've already moved 2 of my pieces so that I've got 2 guys playing back-to-back straight up. I'll let things settle there. I'll use another 1 or 2 of my pieces, probably 1 in the center of the week. And then we'll look at some of these back-to-backs at the end of the week, and I'll tidy up there all my loose ends. But yeah, you got the Mavs, you got the Pistons, Heat, Timberwolves, Suns, Trailblazers, Raptors, and the good thing about these teams is all of them have injuries at the moment, which has opened up role and minutes for some of these guys that we want to pick up early on.
And I saw you do that as well, like in the league. You've been an unstoppable force and an immovable object in one league this year. I think you've only lost 1. I'm bringing it up right now. You've lost once. I think you've only lost once or 2 times this whole season. You've been absolutely rolling.
I lost today too. So
and you ended up pinning that back. You were down 7-2 at one point. You've just lost 5-4 in that league. But you knew that was probably on the cards early, so you moved off 2 pieces to square it. I saw you do that, and I'm like. And they were Spurs players as well after the back-to-back that you dropped as well. I was like, this is such a Malley move, and I loved it for you. So we're going to break down all the players that you can add from these teams to start the week, because this is 3 games and 4 nights. And the great thing is here, like Malley said, there are no back-to-backs on Friday and Saturday this week. So you can absolutely play Monday to Thursday, add an individual ad, and then you can roll someone for Saturday and Sunday and see how you go with the Hornets, the Suns, and the Jazz. And we haven't got the names of these guys up here for the Suns because they're early in the week. We want to touch on them. They have 5 games this week. For the Hornets, we've seen Brandon Miller come back in today. What I really like there is it's going to be a back-to-back set. So I'm going to be cognizant of the fact very early in my week of someone like Nick Richards playing an extra game where Mark Williams may sit on this back-to-back because of injury management. So that's something, especially for those big man minutes, that I think you'd be keeping your eye on, as well as our Martin boy, I think, is someone we can keep our eyes on as well. And you don't do the wrong C. This is Cody Martin, not Caleb Martin. It's the Cody that plays in Charlotte. Don't add the wrong C. Martin is my fantasy advice to start off with.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy too that with a back-to-back, he seems to, just like his twin, have one awesome game where he'll go 10-5, 4, 2 blocks and a steal on decent percentages, and then the next one he'll go completely missing. So I like that hold as a back-to-back. You're sure to get one decent game and one subpar one. As you said, we'll have Mark sitting out almost certainly. Ball, they're pulling in and out of the lineup, so a back-to-back for him seems kind of unlikely. Brandon Miller, who knows? So yeah, there's going to be minutes for those guys, and that's when you want to pick them up.
And I just wish that I had more faith in Josh Green there. Otherwise, I'd be throwing his name in the ring very, very quickly. With the Jazz, I'm looking at guys like Johnny Juzang. I'm looking at Isaiah Collier in really, really deep leagues. And Bryce Sensabaugh, who I'm going to touch on as one of my ads. We'll get to these guys later on. Let's rip through these. Malley, you do these first page and teams. I'll do the second. These are the guys we can hit up to start the week. 3 games in 4 nights for the Mavs, Pistons, the Heat. Who have we got on the list, mate?
Yeah, obviously with the Mavs here, there's no chance of Doncic coming back. I don't know if you saw the footage of him rolling on his little wheelie board thing out of the stadium. He doesn't look good. He couldn't put weight on the floor. That is. Always got to be careful with that one with old Donch. But yeah, Marshall, Najee coming back from his suspensions. He's had 3 really quiet games, but I have no reservations in picking him up, and I probably will. I think I need a small forward, power forward pickup to start my week. Grimes, he's had a couple of absolutely killers. We know he can be a bit dodgy from the line, but he went 7 from 7 the other day, so that's sure to pull him up a little bit. He's good for 20 points if he goes hard. And then you've got Hardy there as well. I guess Grimes, then Marshall, then Hardy is the pickup order for me, depending on what you need, obviously. With the Pistons, we saw Asar come out in his first opportunity to get a role in the starting lineup with Ivy out. He didn't, and he didn't play well. And then he came out the second game, they put him in, and he had 5 steals in a quarter and just couldn't miss. So he went absolutely nuts. If he's still on your wire, that's a definite pickup. And that's the thing with someone like Grimes and with Asar. Not only are you picking them up to start your week, but there's a good chance you hold on to them. But that 3 and 4 nights, you're definitely going to get some good stats underneath you there in both of those guys.
Yeah, 100%. You got guys like Hardaway Jr. and Stewart and Holland too. Like, there's just a lot of options. Even Sasa, he's not even there.
Yeah, and he's been getting some run as well. Robinson, he's been up and down. I was hoping that we'd see a little bit more of the Robinson that we had the second half of last year, where he was like putting 4 or 5 assists and rebounds down as well. But he's gone back to Duncan from the year before, where he just shoots threes. And if you want to get off to a hot start with your threes, why not? Huckers Jr., who knows what that dude's going to go, but they seem to still give him minutes. Jovic has Jovic has had some awesome games. Like the last 2, he was the only player to put up a decent fantasy line in Miami in their last game. They're favouring him at the moment. Obviously, with no Butler, that is it's good times for him. Highsmith, they're kind of down on, but you're right, he's another option, and he's a guy who can get you a couple of steals. And then Ware is starting to look good. We'll talk about our young guys later, but he's a guy who, especially when they know that when they know the show's over, whether they're up or down, and they put him in, he gets a lot of usage. So,
100%. And the great thing is as well with these ones, the back-to-backs, the Mavs, the Heat, the T-Wolves and the Suns, we'll get to the T-Wolves and Suns guys in a second, they all start the week on a back-to-back. So let's just say one of those options is tanking for you. You can then pivot into your Wednesday, and maybe you go Wednesday as for your back-to-back set. And they're like, okay, so there's guys from Wednesday to Saturday that do 3 games and 4 nights as well. That's the Pistons, the Trailblazers, and the Raptors, who we also are about to mention. So this is where you're like, okay, that didn't work out for me. I'm just going to pull up stumps on this guy. I took Khalil Ware. He didn't play as well as he has the last 2 games. That's going to happen. Bam's not going to always suck. There's not going to be that role. state of flux, whatever you want to put it down to. Drop him and make your next ad. You probably have 4 or 5. You get 3 games and 4 nights from, like, you won't probably get a Sar Thompson, but you could probably pick up someone, Fontecchio or anyone in the Pistons right there. Portland Trailblazers, Kamara you mentioned. Raptors, maybe someone like a Baji, because RJ Barrett's been out. It has been sickness for the last 3 games, and unless that's a COVID-related, and it's really just taking him a while to come back, let's see what that goes. But that's where those options present themselves, because we do roll into those guys like the Timberwolves, like you said, Alexander Walker, Naz Reid is available, and Dante DiVincenzo. He's been playing a lot better lately. So that is a really good little run you can have there for the Timberwolves guys who fit into that. Big guys who are playing 5 games this week are Grayson Allen, Ryan Dunn, and Mason Plumlee. They are all the Phoenix Suns. They're the only team in the NBA playing 5 this week. For the Trailblazers, we've got Timoni Kamara, we've got Donovan Clingan, and Chris Murray. Don't add the wrong K Murray, because he's going to be the only K Murray that is available on your wire, because Keegan Murray is. And for some reason, if someone's just had fed up with Keegan Murray, just add him. Just go and add Keegan Murray. That'll pay it back to you later on, because then you're making the wrong mistake, right? And with the Toronto Raptors, you've got Ochai Agbaji, Jacoby Walter, and Kelly Olynyk, the guys there. Bruce Brown is still ramping back up. It's been good to see Emmanuel quickly get out there, but I think Agbaji benefits the most if RJ Barrett continues to sit. I would say Chris Boucher was it, but he did not play. Coach's decision last game. So there's 31 players, and you're in a league of 10, 12, 14, or 16, or 20. There's at least someone there for everybody to be able to get the best available player to start your week. That's 31 names to just kick off your week, Malley.
Yeah, definitely. And I noticed you've left Shed off the Raptors there. Now we've got Quickly back, and that's probably a good take there. He's kind of fallen back off our fantasy radar. But I love your take there. That get yourself through those first 3 to 4 days where you've used 2 of your ads, and make an assessment. And that's always the point of the week where I get to and go, you know what, I thought I'd have a little run here at steals. I mean, talking about my loss in our league, after the first day, I was down 15 steals on day 1. And I was like, man, my team's not too bad on the defensive end. And I was like, I've just got to fold. Like, 15 is a lot to come back from after
especially on a
game.
Volatile category like that. If you're down 15 points or 15 rebounds, you can claw that. Even assist, if you can get you're probably less percent assist, but it's doable. You are not going to climb back 15 steals. Like, it's just.
And if you focus on those guys like a Case and Wallace, who you're like, okay, he's good for 2 steals. I'm getting 3 to 4 games out of him this week. There's potentially 8 steals. You think of all the other things you're missing. There goes your assists, your rebounds, your points, your percentages, your threes. So he's not too bad from 3, but you know what I mean? Like, it's you've got to play a bit of a smart game, especially at this part of the season here, where a lot of us are sitting in those middling positions where you're teetering on the edge of being in or out of your fantasy playoffs. It's you've got to start making some tough decisions soon. I had to in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball League, where I just completely revamped my team. I was like, I keep sitting bang on being average in both percentages each week. So I turfed out all of my big boys, and now I run this team where thankfully I'm back well in the 800s for free throw percentage. And now at least that's putting that category back in my favor, and things are kind of balanced back out again. So I had to do a total revamp there, which anyone who's playing against me will have witnessed. They now know that I love a bit of a trade, and hopefully they could see what I was going for.
I'm in I know we're both in one of the ball page leagues. I've been absolutely tanked by injuries in I League this week. That continued last week, for example. Kyrie Irving out 2 games. Bradley Beal plays 3 minutes. Trey Murphy out. It came down to the wire today on turnovers, and I picked up Nick Richards just to get ready for like that, because I had Mark Williams in my team. Just thought I'd get the rebounds. I wanted to secure that. I've ended up going overboard on rebounds because he had De'Aaron Fox. I'm like, if De'Aaron Fox plays, there's every chance that he gets 1 or 2 turnovers, because that's a category in the league in a most, unless that's in an 8-cat league. I have only lost by 1 turnover. It's 41-42 on the course of the week, 6-5 in an 11-cat league. And I was down 7-2 because of all my injuries. I had Bradley Beal. I had DeAndre Ayton, who's now day-to-day. I had Lauri Markkanen sit. I had Kyrie Irving sit. And I had Tyus Jones and Bradley Beal all out this week. And
brutal.
to go down, and had I just pulled, the irony is this, we never know these things as managers, because had I sat, and the only other category up in for grabs, and I won it by, I'm looking at now, 14, was rebounds. Now, had I pulled Mark Williams today from the lineup, he got 2 turnovers and he got 9 rebounds. I still would have won, but I was banking on hopefully De'Aaron Fox getting a run against under, Curry Brand, UA. Thought it might be a bit of a showing there promotionally wise against Steph Curry. Didn't happen. Unfortunately, he was doubtful, played out that way, and I lose that one category. So this is where we can make those moves really easily. Well, you mentioned the young guns. We're going to finish the show off with 5 guys that we love the most for. But let's talk about those young guys that you were talking about earlier and their ownership across the league. So we're starting to put on a bit of a show, mate. You pull out 5 of these. They go from Yahoo, ESPN, and Fantrax. Who are your 5 young fellas doing well right now?
I just think it's been a funny year for the young guys. We knew that just from a basketball and NBA standpoint that these guys were a weak class, and therefore, unlike other seasons that I played fantasy basketball, a lot of them weren't picked up and sat on. They were either picked up and tossed straight away, or just not picked up at all. So the guys you see on this list here, mostly first years and second year in there as well, 2 second years, is that they've been sitting on the wire and people have just kind of picked them up, thrown them back in. But now it's getting to the point where you really have to probably start holding on to some of these guys. So back to my list there, I started off with Casey Wallace. I talked about him before. He had a great showing today in a tough game, and they left him out there for 30-plus minutes, which is awesome, in a game that was really tight. So I'm excited about that. And the schedule for OKC isn't brilliant this week, but I'm holding on to him in the 20-man ball page league that you just referenced, because I know that he hasn't been too damaging. He's starting to get some points and threes, and the steals, you pencil him down for 1 a game and you're stoked if you get 3 out of him. But, as you said, volatile category, if you can get someone in there that just kind of putts along, you never know when those couple of steals might come in handy. Alex Sarr as well, you can see he's lit up with green percentages there, so he's pretty much gone everywhere. In that same league, I've had people biting at him, people thinking that now's the time to try and take Alex Sarr away, but he's really coming into his own. His percentages are looking way better. He's not as tragic at the line, which is great on a team where that's one of the categories I'm really trying to hold on to. But
we mentioned that, we mentioned that in the preview show with Skitty last night. That isn't it just wonderful to see him be consistent and play consistent? If that free throw percentage of him can come up, this is a guy who could be a really nice NBA player down the track. He's looking like maybe the right things have happened, because I've got Ricochet on my list. Bit of a spoiler alert, but these 2 guys are really starting to show. But Sarr is showing the promise that the Washington Wizards invested into him.
Yeah, exactly. And, they still play Valanciunas around him, but he only needs 25 minutes a night at this stage. And it's exciting to think that as the season goes on, and they clearly put a bit more faith in him and a little bit less faith in their process, and the fact that they're not going anywhere, it's tank time, to see him get 30 minutes would be awesome. Jalen Wells, he's just a modicum of consistency. He's been great. Good to see him in his hometown the other day, absolutely show out with 30 points, hitting that 3-pointer right at the buzzer on the end. They were losing, but it was just nice for him to get that nice round number for those people like me who like to see him. Noah Clowney, well, things happening in Brooklyn. Their whole teams just crumbled, so it might be Noah Clowney time. I had a decision to make, actually, because I had him, Keon Johnson, and Zaire Williams. I had all 3 of them to choose from. And it came down to who I thought was probably going to have the better run while their 2 shooters are out. And I went Zaire. I don't know if I'll end up regretting it. He obviously doesn't get the minutes that Johnson gets, but Johnson does not a lot in those minutes. He gets 32 minutes, but what of it? He'll get 10 points and 3 rebounds, and that's it. Noah Clowney's probably got the highest upside and ceiling. But he's kind of been like up and down. So
we thought he was looking good, and you can see right there with that up and down, he's gone down since those nice little showings. Even after that Dorian Finney-Smith trade, where everyone thought, here we go, upside time. He's actually gone down in ownership across Yahoo, to 9%, 1% in ESPN leagues, and 65% in Fantrax. So you're right, man. People have just been like, yep, not for me. So maybe it's a time that you could swoop in and pick him up because people are dropping him really quickly.
Yeah, and on this list of rookies and sophomores, besides obviously Alex Sarr, who we can see that he's pretty much gone across the sites. Noel Clowney's probably the one that I have the most interest in. I just like what he can do. Like, he can get you 2 threes, he'll get you a few rebounds, he can score okay. And then Ryan Dunn, who's probably the most boring guy on this list, but there's a few things working in his favour. One, there's injuries happening around them. Beal plays 2 games, out 2, into, out 2, and they just seem to keep inserting Dunn into the starting lineup. And I see, like, there was a lot of talk about his defensive prowess before entering the NBA, and those numbers, at least from a fantasy standpoint, haven't really translated. But he has started to, I've noticed, get some steals and some blocks on the tally sheet, which is great. So again, if you pick him up this week, he's going to play 5 games. Some he's going to start, some he's going to come off the bench. But, if you can get 6, 7 steals out of him this week, a couple of blocks and a few rebounds, that's just one of those bludgeoning type moves that you make with it, your 4 or 5 pickups, whatever you're going to get. And
deeper leagues, he's right there, as you can see. Like, he's available in 2% of Yahoo, 1% of ESPN, and 32% of Fantrax. Man, that's some deep ownership. And like you said, like, Alex Sarr is the guy who's the most owned on this list. When I was looking into the research for this show, I was shocked to only see him at 52% ownership in Yahoo leagues already. So that's a window of opportunity there in Yahoo leagues for Sarr, 30% in ESPN leagues. So this is like, you might want to start looking at guys like him in 12-teamers because they're probably owned in the 10s. This is the 12s where they might be on the wire. It's probably your time to get them now.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, that's the other thing about this list. I think from 10s to 20s, we've probably got a person for every job in there. You've got Kaysen who's in the middle there. You've got Dunn who's in the 20s, maybe in the 18s, 16s if you need someone like him. You got Clowney who's in those middling ones as well. So it's this is all very dependent, but we're giving you names. These are guys who are coming up. These are guys who are getting run and getting minutes. They're finding their form and their feet. They're also, for many of the names obviously we mentioned tonight, have those back-to-back to start the week, or at least have a 3 and 4 night like the Pistons do. That's exactly how I'd be playing my waiver pickups. You could either pick 2 guys up and dump them after those 4 nights. You could pick up someone like a Ryan Dunn, or if he's available, Grayson Allen. I know we haven't talked about him. Yep. I'm a little bit worried after having he had 4 games off that he might do some sitting over the 5 nights. So you don't pick up Grayson Allen and be like, well, there's a sure thing for 5 games because you might end up getting 3 or 4. But then again, if Beal's not playing, they might have to push it to the limit. They're not exactly in a luxury position over in Phoenix at the moment. But he's another name. Add him to the list. A little harder to pick up, but if he's there, you know what he can do.
You absolutely can. Look, guys, I've just loved what I've seen from Khalil, where he's already started to trend up across all leagues, 9%, 3%, and 45 in Fantrax, which is the big indicative one of guys. Look, he looked really good. And those threes that he just started bombing away merrily, you saw every bit of the flashes of, you saw like not, I remember one quote that I read on his draft, which made me like him even more, an unrefined Kevin Durant. And you could see exactly why when you see that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, young, love the spacing, willing distributor.
Bouncy.
Would love to see him bouncy, really hoppy, doesn't have that offensive prowess of Kevin Durant by any way, shape, or form. And that's a massive like globe to put on the back of someone's shoulders to be like, oh, he's like Kevin. He's not like Kevin Durant, but he can stretch the floor. And we use these archetypes like, the unicorns, like KP, these big guys. He's showing why he has that ability. He's looked really good, really fluid. And they're only a trade away from just going full, like, blow it up in Miami. Let's be honest. Because if they do get Beal, like, in that trade, and Beal then goes out for the rest of the season because of the injuries, the nagging injuries, and they want to compete next year, or Bam Adebayo goes, or that trade happens where De'Aaron Fox comes in and he's reunited with his teammate Bam Adebayo, You could probably say that's a little bit down, but I do love that. Stefan Castle's been up and down all over the place, but I've loved what he's been doing in San Antonio, and I think they like what he's been doing as well. He's learning the ropes from Chris Paul. I've been really curious to see his minutes click up, and I've loved that for him. And Tristan De Silva, in the absence with Jalen Suggs going down, and adds another guard option with these guys. He's again played well today in Orlando. Now, although this again, we say played well, they lost the game, obviously, to the Utah Jazz, which is something that we don't like saying for anyone to do. But again, he got the start today, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, but 3 of 11. So the volume's there. So his percentages have been up and down, but I do like him as an ad, especially in deeper formats, 14 or 16 teamers. Risha Shea, now he is 74% owned, is the most ownership that he has in Fantrax. With Jalen Johnson playing 2 of the last 3, he's been having some runs. So Jalen Johnson did the same shenanigans last year. We fall in love with the promise of Jalen Johnson, but then we forget about he does fall into the injury guy sometimes. And this shoulder, they're bringing him along. They're happy to roll out Risha Shea. This is a guy who I've really liked filling in for the shoes, and he's showing up. And today, Jordan Poole going out. Bub Carrington has been playing better with a little bit more consistency as well. And you can see that he has tracked up in all leagues, much like Kalelua. He's up to 11, 7, and 64% ownership in Fantrax League. Playing well, again, much like his teammate in Alex Sarr, consistency is key.
Brogo went out after 14 minutes today too, so there's some more ups I'd be picking up Bub Carrington right now. We've seen that he's been able to maintain 5 or 6 assists each game. He's doing a little bit of scoring, and they're paying him 30 minutes, and they're going to have to play him. Well, they're probably not going to play him too much more than 30 minutes. But his shots are going to go up. His usage is obviously going to go up with the only other 2 guys who can basically play point guard on that team out. So, yeah, I really like him. A name that's not on there, I don't know if he's a third year or not. He might be out a little bit of a cut for young guns. We talked about him earlier. Is Bryce Sensabaugh. What year is he in? Can't remember now. Is he a sophomore?
Oh, I think he's in third. But he's made my list. Here you go. I'll put him on my list.
Oh, beauty.
There you go. There you go. Bryce Sensabagh's made my guys. We'll finish the show this one. Wait, let me play the bit. I've got to play the bit. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. Should I do the bit? Yeah, there's a segue. Should I do the bit? Here we go. Fantasy target acquired. Beep, beep, beep. And all the right.
Targets acquired.
There you go. Malley and I have 5 targets that we want to put onto our wires, whether they're young guys, old guys, or any guys that you want to get onto your roster. Bryce Sensabaugh made it today. He played, again, well, John Collins. And I know this was a back-to-back set for the Utah Jazz. We know that they're tanking and just doing it, but Sensabaugh did get the run. Again today, 27 and 3. Like 11 from 19, 5
points
threes.
in 2 nights.
60 points in 2 nights. And I actually messaged a mate of mine yesterday. I'm like, someone jumped on the Senzi Express because I saw him pop up, and I'm like, you're just banking on him doing the same thing again, which didn't look like he would. But then with Collins out, with Lowry out, they lent on him, and he came off the bench for 28 minutes, and they still played Potter 20 minutes here, which I thought was, and Juzang got a nice little juicy 22 as well.
They tried to lose and they just couldn't. So this is some terrible news for Jazz fans. Them going and having 2 wins, beating the 2 Floridian teams like very convincingly. But there you go. Old Sensabaugh. Is he this year's version of Cam Thomas, where we're going to go, okay, it's time to drop him, and then he goes for 3 more? We'll have to see.
Could be. Could very well be. Look, Grayson Allen, we mentioned, is the absolute must-add winner of the week for me. And I don't mean he's going to win your team, but he is probably the most consistent option out of all the guys. I put down name your heater. We went through those options there. What do you need? What Miami Heat player? We obviously know Jimmy Butler is suspended for 7 games. The NBPA has appealed that suspension. Now, that doesn't mean he can return to the team, but that might just secure his pay, because it's going to cost him like about $2.5 million US, like some ridiculous amount per game.
We're all shedding tears for Jimmy.
We're all shedding tears. They have absolutely obliterated his mural. If you haven't seen it yet, check that out on Instagram or Twitter. Nice. They have obliterated his mural it came up on Bleacher Report. They have ripped into his mural in Miami today. They have graffitied it around town, and they are pretty much just wanting him out of town now. And the funny thing is this, every team in the NBA knows it, and they have been sending nothing but low ball offers, just like the worst manager in your fantasy league for Jimmy Butler. Absolutely, get him out of there. So look, he's there. Maybe Moses Moody was another guy that we could look to make a pickup. Now, Moses Moody, obviously today playing with the Golden State Warriors, they have climbed that back in this team. I do like him. He has played 10 minutes. He's only got the 3 points. Waters, the third, went to the bench. We know that in these situations that the Warriors don't play past Friday. So you can give one of these guys a crack. But I liked Moses Moody and his potential, especially with Jonathan Kuminga going down. I like that upside. He has played 11 minutes today, but they're down and they're rolling him out there now. And I don't know what that changes. Look, Kerr's rotations have been odd at times to the best. Pods was supposed to come back. He hasn't played today. They've rolled out 13 minutes of Kyle Anderson. So we never just know what to get, but this is the thing. Buddy Hield's got 15 minutes in there coming off the bench. So let's see where that plays out. But I like him. And my other guy that I've really enjoyed being an owner of lately is Quentin Grimes. With Luka being out, he still has a role to play off Kyrie. He works well off Kyrie Irving for the Dallas Mavericks. He has been putting up great numbers across the board, contributing in all of them on really good percentages as well. So have been liking that for Quentin Grimes. And to cap the show, Malley, take us through your guys as well.
Yeah, obviously, Asar Thompson. I'm hoping that a lot of people panicked after he didn't get the run in the first game without Ivy, and then obviously probably had ultimate regrets when he had a 10.5 steal first quarter. So I'd be going and picking him up because he'll be if people dropped him 2 days ago, he'll be available for you to pick up maybe tonight. So ready for the next week. Zaire, as I said, was my choice out of the Brooklyn guys, but again, just like you pick your Heedle, I think it's very much pick your Brooklynite at the moment, because I'd be scooping a couple of them up. If you're a psycho like me and play in too many leagues, then you can hedge your bets and pick one up in each league, so you'll have some satisfaction somewhere. Keon Ellis getting another start today. You know what he's going to do, blocks and steals, and that's good earnings at the start of the week. Nikola Jovic, we'll see what happens with him. I'm excited to see, again, what they do in Miami. They need a good news story. That's probably why they're like playing Ware at the moment as well, going, everything sucks and our team didn't play very well last game, but we got a smiley young guy who jumps around, and someone said he's a bit like the Slim Reaper, so that's got to be at least making some sort of newsreel somewhere. And who was my last fellow there?
You got Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, he was a slug today. He just didn't get hot, and when he doesn't get hot, they don't play him. And we know with Udoka, when he finds something that's working for him, he just goes with it. Like Whitmore didn't get a look in today. What's his name?
Armin Thompson.
Jesus. No, Thompson played excellently.
He played well.
God, this is embarrassing. Shingun.
Tara Eason?
Shingun. They hit him a bit today because Steven Adams, he nearly went off for a double-double. He was looking spry. The commentators couldn't get off his name. They were like, look at this guy. Look at this young man. Who's this? Getting around and looking sprightly.
So I was going to say, because Eason was out, so this is where I'm thinking that Cam Whitmore gets that injury, because, he's out. But the guy that I thought was interesting playing the 15 minutes was Jayshawn Tate. He got 15 minutes in there, and I was hoping for some more Cam Whitmore, like maybe 22 minutes from him. But just the 8 and 4 from him today with one block, 375 from the field. So doesn't bode well, but he can be better than that, and I would lose the Tate minutes. I think that's because of the veteran presence against the Lakers more than anything else.
Yeah, and that's 15 minutes with 5 fouls, so it gives you a little bit of pause on what they would have played him. But they haven't needed Tate for ages. I don't know what he's still doing there, but NBL throwback.
I am surprised to still see him in the NBA. I'm not going to lie. And look, I actually think if that hadn't been for that first quarter and Davis just stinking up the first half, that was a game for the Lakers to play, because this was exactly why Dorian Finney-Smith came into this team. They looked a lot better. So he's also a waiver target with the Lakers, probably playing 4 down there for the week. And to finish the show, if you made it through this far, we have a brand new release of Fantasy Wear that has just dropped. It is live on the web store, iHeart Fantasy Hoop. All the cool kids are doing it. And your favorite is that last one, which is a basketball holding its mobile phone saying your loved ones just don't understand, which they probably don't if you're looking at your phone that much, wondering why you love the box.
I put sleeves on for that.
You put sleeves on?
Who am I kidding? For that shirt, I would.
I was going to send you one without the sleeves.
I'll
so you can check
my
that
movement if I look that good.
You will always look that good, and your team will hopefully look that good next week. Make sure you like and subscribe to All Things Insight. This has been like almost 40 must-add watch players for the week. Big show in 40 players in under 40 minutes. We got you covered. Hit the notifications down below. Get it? Take care, everyone.